Hi, this is Jeff Lesher with What's the Point? And as I often try to do in this space, try to take something that I've learned or been reminded of and share it as encouragement to others to do a little bit more of something that they know to be important, but that you just may have run out of a little bit of steam to continue to do. And one of those things during the pandemic era is we tell ourselves this negative story, this limiting story, that we can't make meaningful connections because of distance or challenge or whatever. And while some of the connections are made differently, I heard a story about the power of connection, about putting yourself in a position to meet someone, to take a chance to impact your life and others' lives merely by asking a question, even if it felt maybe a little bit awkward, even if it was in a moment of stress. And this is an extreme case, but it's an amazing story. If you've ever listened to NPR's StoryCorps, you'll agree that it's, if nothing else, a great way in 90 seconds to make yourself cry. So if you need a good cry, just pull up one of the many stories that they've archived over the last several years and enjoy. And you often hear amazing stories. And I want to summarize one that I heard recently. It was a 91-year-old man and an 88-year-old woman or 86-year-old woman, who is his wife of 66 years. And here's their story. They are both survivors of World War II, of Nazi occupation, of the Holocaust. The man is I assume retired at 91, but maybe not, a rabbi who immigrated to the United States after the war. He survived to immigrate to the United States after the war by, in a moment that the Nazis were looking for people in the ghetto that he lived, where he was separated from his own family. They were looking for people essentially to kill, to send to the death camps. But he knew that they were sparing people who had a critical, useful skill. And there was a woman he knew to be a nurse who had 2 young girls, and he asked her if she would pretend to be his mother. And she said, sure, if they'll let me live with 2 children, maybe they'll let me live with 3. And they did. And then he was separated from her as well, but he survived and they survived. He made his way to the United States, and a few years later, he was invited to a wedding. He didn't want to go because, as he said, he didn't have any fancy clothes and he didn't dance. But ultimately, he chose to go anyway. And he's sitting at a table at the wedding reception, and somebody asks him where he's from, and he mentions the town where he's from. And somebody nearby hears him and says, oh, I know a woman who's from the same town, and she helped save a boy during the war, and we don't know what happened to him. And of course, he was the boy. So he said, I'm the boy, I'd love to meet her and say thank you. So they arranged this. He goes to her house, and the little girls that she was the mother of now have grown up, one of whom is a teenager who later becomes his wife. They have 3 kids together, they have 7 grandchildren, they probably have some untold number of great-grandchildren, and that is a freaking amazing story about taking multiple opportunities to reach out to someone and to form, as a consequence of that, to say the very least, a truly meaningful, impactful relationship. So imagine the birth that gives the rest of us, because we're not literally fighting for our lives, we're just trying to make a connection with people. So let's do that. Let's reach out. We have all kinds of tools, including this one, to connect. We don't have to connect as we used to. Connect as you can and look for other ways to make that connection. And then create a story that may have a little bit of the power that one has. I hope it does for you. I hope at least you take it to heart. And if you want to, have a good cry. That's the point.